There we go. Seems to be working. Good morning, artists. Happy Monday. It's a brand new week. But we got hopefully all the stream problems fixed out. I'll go into it a little bit later what's going on, but I hope everybody's doing really well. I know a lot of people are starting to get back to work now, my sister included. So if I have to pause at some point to go take care of the dogs because I don't have her around anymore to help with babysitting them. So if we hear a lot of barking and I have to run away for a second, I apologize, but it's what we got to do, you know, we got to take care of our babies too. So we've got a new project coming up this week. We're going to be doing some stuff with different circles. So you want to make sure that you have a couple things kind of handy to work with in order to make a bunch of different circles. So things like cups, bowls, even small things if you want to do something with like even something as small as a quarter, but probably not any smaller than that. So you're going to want to make sure you have those kind of things handy and ready to go. And we're going to get right into it. This is something you can do pretty much just in pencil, but you also have the option to bring in some color as well. So if you have color, feel free to use it. If you don't have color, you can just use pencil. You can also use different kind of pens as well. So if you just even have regular writing pens, if you have like a gel pen, or even kind of these little Uniball marker pens, I'm going to be using these because I know that is something that, you know, most of you will have handy. But you can have a lot of fun with different things to do with this. Okay, so I'm going to swing you around here so you can see. Whoosh. Get everything all lined up, ready to go. Center that paper, please. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dealing with a bunch of different kinds of circle patterns. So here's just a little printout of a couple of different sort of options. Now don't get freaked out that this looks really crazy. If you look at some of the individual ones, they're a little bit simpler, and I'll show you how to do a lot of these so you won't have to worry too much about how crazy it is. Some of them are pretty simple with just doing some circles or even just doing zigzags and stripes, and some of them get a little more complicated. So the idea is that you're going to be creating a page that has a bunch of different circles of different sizes, and then you're going to be doing some designs inside each of those circles and work your way outward and create this really cool big piece. This is something that I've done before on my own. Let me even show you that. Ooh, it's not all colored yet, but I'll show you the black and white parts first. So lots of different sizes of circles, and then just kind of playing around with different things inside them. So like this one had more circles inside. This one has squiggles, almost like a maze. We got one here with a bunch of lightning zigzags, stripes. And then I even had some fun doing things like this circle has a dragon's eye in it. Or this one, let's spin that. Whoosh. It's like a little goldfish bowl. So you're going to do some cool stuff where you can have just designs and patterns happening, or you can do kind of a cool little drawing now and then. So I'm going to scoot this over to the colored side so you can see what this is great for. Check that out. So this is with using different kinds of pens, using like the gel pens. Some of them are glittery, so I don't know if I can get the light to shine on it just right, but there it goes. It's kind of metallic-y. Has a little shine to it. So you can do the drawings in black and white and even use the pen. And then if you want to go back and add some color, please do. This is a fun little way. It's kind of like you're creating your own little adult coloring book. So you can just kind of have some fun. Do a lot of different things throughout. You'll see some of my favorite things too. I've got kind of like a sun pattern happening here. So we're just going to kind of have a little fun with it. I don't really have like a set design plan, but I have these little ones handy off on the side. So if you get stuck at any point during this, you can come back to this part of the video where it's got all these cool little ideas on it, all separated out. You can even pause the video to use this as your different ideas. But let's get started. I have, let me see if I can reach it. Whoop. I'm going to start off with a big cup. It's got a little water in it. Hold on. I want to use the nice edge, but this was my water cup from last week that I was using for doing some painting, which unfortunately, that's when my stream decided to be a butt and cut out. So I wasn't able to show you guys that whole thing. So just going to pick a spot. If you have a bigger circle, you'll probably want to start with that first. Oh, actually, so now here's some options. You can start by doing this with pencil. And then if you make an oops, it's easy to erase. Or we're going to be brave. And I'm just going to go right to pen. This is a good project to use as a challenge, you guys. If you are one of those people, like I tend to be, where you prefer using pencil first to do some work, dusty, because you like being able to erase, this can be a really good exercise to try. Because the idea with doing something right in pen is that you just have to make it work. You can't stop, you can't go back, you can't erase it, you just have to find a way to make it work. And especially if you're doing these little designs, pen can be really nice for that. So let me show you how to do a pretty easy, almost like leaf design, leaf pattern. Let's come in close. Very close. There we go. So if you start off by doing a sort of a rounded shape with a bit to a point, so you're kind of going up and out and then come back in, kind of like an egg, rounded shape. Now I'm going to just go kind of next to that, and I'm going to do another one. And another one. All the way to the edges. They don't all have to point in the same direction. And then we're just going to keep going up from there. So I'm going to even just go in between. Whoop. Whoop. And then the next one. Now, sometimes I've got them touching, sometimes I don't. Doesn't matter. It is up to you. So already you can see some spaces where my pen might have jumped a little bit. I've got little oopses. The great thing about pen is you can go in, and I'm going to make things a little bit thicker, especially where my oopsies happened. No more oops. It's just a thicker line. And if I bring that into some of the other ones, even where I didn't make an oops, ta-da! So let's just keep going. So I called them leafy shapes, but they're going to come out almost like, with the way they overlap, they're almost like scales. Let's just have that one go right off the circle. We're just going to keep going and fill in this whole circle with this shape. Now you can do this with any shape. You can do it with a triangle shape. You can do it with cone shapes. You could make a heart shape. Any kind of shape. You can just do a repeat over and over like this and still have the cool same effect. So if you have a pen you can use, this is a good project to try that out. I used to have such anxiety over making mistakes, especially when I got into doing like comic type art, because that has such perfect lines in it. And when I got into college, one of our assignments that we had to do was we had to sit across from a person and we had to draw a portrait of them, but we could only use pen. There was no erasing at all. And I was horrified at the time because not only do I have to draw a real person, which was not my strong point, cartoons were definitely my strong point, but I also had to use a pen and not erase. And at first it was just, I was a wreck. I was so worried about messing up and making them look ugly. But I soon realized that everyone was in the same boat. Nobody was comfortable with the idea. And when I kind of let myself realize that I was going to make a mistake and that wasn't going to be a problem, then it got a lot easier. And I started to feel a lot more confident. I ended up making a mistake, like right underneath the nose, so it started to look like a mustache. And I'm like, sorry, dude, you've got a mustache now. And he's like, whatever. And, and we were both okay with it. There we go. All right. So now that I've got the whole thing kind of filled in with my basic leafy shape, I'm now going to go back and start doing some little details. So I'm going to start with my first one, and I'm just going to split it in half. And then from that half, I'm going to do some little lines that they're going to kind of make their own little V shape ultimately, but I'm not going to touch the edge. I'm going to leave a little space. And then same thing on the other side. Ta-da! So now I'll go to the next one. I'm going to split that one up. And some V shapes. Now, depending on how much detail you put into each of your circles, this can take a while to do. It all depends on how much work you want to kind of put into it. So if you wanted to just leave it at this point and just draw from there, that would be fine. If you want to like move on to the next circle, that would be fine. But I think as we've kind of established throughout most of my streams, I like adding these kind of cool details. So I might just start moving a little bit faster so I can get to the next thing to show you guys. So I figured out what the stream issues were that we were having. I moved down to my basement down here to be my new classroom so I could set up the whiteboard easier and I could have a better table space. The table I was using originally up in my living room area it's also like my art table, but that's like my upstairs art table. That's what I normally do my personal artwork on, especially if it's like, let's put on a movie. Okay, let's have a movie on, and I'm going to do art while, we have the movie on as background. Or if we're, just catching up on our various YouTubes that my sister and I follow. And the problem that created was that if I was doing a project on that table, and then the next morning I had to stream, I had to keep cleaning it off and straightening it up, and it just was creating a lot of extra work. This way, I could set up for you guys, and then the next time I stream, everything is still right there. So if I'm working on the same project from one day to the next, it's a little bit easier. But the problem that was occurring was even though my Wi-Fi does reach to the basement, it was not as strong. So my phone made its own decision that when we came down into the basement, it would switch over to my mobile data. And when that started to run out, then it didn't want to stream anymore because it's a bum. And it wouldn't just switch over to the Wi-Fi. And even when I switched to the Wi-Fi, it was having trouble because it was still pretty far from our router. So I had two options. I could either switch over to a plan to have unlimited mobile data, which is like, that's a thing a lot of people have. It's not necessarily something that I need in my normal everyday life. I am not often needing to use my mobile data when I'm out and about. Maybe just the rare quick Google something if you're sitting down to dinner at a restaurant and you wanted to know something, but not like that's an issue anymore, right? So my sister, being the genius that she is, I'm only doing one stripe here because it's right near the edge. Same with this one. My sister, being the genius that she is, looked up and found a booster for Wi-Fi. So we set up a booster in the basement so that the Wi-Fi would be a little bit stronger down here. And so far it's looking like it's going pretty good. My computer has not had to reload or glitched at all yet. So it looks like things are moving smoothly again. I'll have to show you guys later this week. I have started a large project. For the last couple of years, I've been doing these projects using foam core, which you guys should be familiar with using for science projects and stuff when you have to make like those big 3-fold bulletin boards. Those are usually made out of cardboard or foam core. But a couple years ago, I started playing around with carving into it, cutting some pieces out, and I started doing a bunch of big art projects with it. I had been doing a lot of them, but when I moved schools, I kind of ran out of the kind of free time I needed for it. Between getting used to new school, new projects, and eventually then having to take these online classes that I've been telling you about, just didn't have the kind of time to go back and really sit down and do one of my nice big carvings. But now that we're getting used to quarantine life, I'm going to be able to get back into doing that. I don't know that I will bring everything down here to necessarily do on a live stream, but what I was thinking of doing was I have like a video recorder, not my phone, like an actual camera that I got for a gift one year. I was thinking of setting that up with my actual tripod that I have with it, and maybe I'll do like a speed run. So I'll record it, but then I'll just make it into a video that's like, times 50 speed. Get that. We're moving along pretty well now. I did one of them a long time ago. For one of the projects I was working on, I did a little speed video of one part of it. And that one little part was like, I think I was working on it for like 2 hours for the carving part. Trimmed down the video to about 5 minutes or so. But it really showed how long of a process it is. But the pieces that I come out are pretty cool. Got kind of a quiet gray day going out there today, don't we? Michigan just can't decide what it's up to. They're saying it's supposed to get warm again, but we're going to get more rain. Finally going to get our spring showers like we should, instead of actual showers, not snow showers. Please and thank you. Had a lot of great projects turned in with those line drawings, guys. I was really happy to see a lot of them. Ta-da! Look at that. Tea break. Today's tea is cinnamon. Back to the cinnamon. So, yes, it took a little bit, but now we have our circle ready to go. Let's get a second circle. I have one immediately heading. Ooh, we could get clever with that. Let's do it. There we go. Got a tape roll handy here. Thought that might be kind of cool because now we can get outside and inside circles. So when you go to do your second circle, I'm going to have it overlap just a little bit. I'm going to go right with the pen again. Take my time nice and slow. Yeah. But this time, let's get a different color. Hopefully it'll show up pretty well. All right, what's another cool design? Let's do something kind of stripy this time. I'll show you a cool kind of technique you can do. Okay. So what I'm going to start off with, I'm going to pick a spot, and I'm going to do a curving line, and I'm going to do about, let's say, 5 of them. One right after the other. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now I'm going to rotate a little bit. Now the reason I rotate is because your hand wants to naturally make a curve. Come here, No, help me out. If you just have your wrist against the paper, back up a little, there we go. Your wrist wants to make a curve. If you just keep your wrist on the paper and just move your hand, your wrist wants to make a curved line. It's actually harder to do a straight line because you not only are moving your wrist, you also have to move your fingers. That's why if you're doing a straight line, it's easier to pick your wrist up off the table and just move your arm, because then you're not moving your fingers. But if you're doing a curved line, you can just go and move your whole hand, or you can keep your wrist there and just follow the way your hand wants to move. So if I'm rotating this one a lot, it's because I'm trying to follow just the way my arm wants to curve. So now I'm going to pick another spot. I'm going to start on these lines that I've already drawn. I'm going to go outward this time. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Spin a little more. Let's go and do it again. This time though, we're going to try and be tricky and go all the way through. We're not going to cross over, but we're going to go and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. Spin a little more. Let's do one right on the little inside here. Very small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spin again. Let's do 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, two. Oh, I'm sorry. Right off the screen. Hi, Sharon. It's a little bit of a follow along, but it's also something you can easily pick up. You just start by making a circle, and then we're going to be doing all sorts of different designs in it. So you will be able to follow along with some of the other ones that we're continuing to do, if you like. So grab some paper, grab a circle. This one's going to be finished pretty quickly. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you want to just go around and just fill in these spaces with different little sections. You can have them going all the way across. You can have them just be small. And when you eventually get to the point where you start running out of space, you can just sneak in and add a couple little extras. Fill it in. There. Sharon, if you want to try to do the leaf one, you absolutely can. Right now I'm just giving some little examples. So here was kind of the sheet we're going off of that has a bunch of different ideas. Uh-oh. Okay, good. For a moment, my computer freaked out, so I was a little bit worried that it's starting to have the same issues it was before. So hopefully you guys are still seeing this. So you're going to have lots of different circles that are all going to eventually come together into making a new thing. Tea break. Let the computer have a chance to catch up. So let's do another circle. I'm going to pick a new spot. Well, at least I know my phone is still connected to the Wi-Fi, even if my computer is having some issues now. All right, so for this one, maybe we should do something with some straight lines. I was going to grab a ruler. I don't need a ruler. New color. So again, you don't have to use all different colors. You can just use one color throughout this whole thing. I'm going to play around with some different colors for me. So for this one, let's do a zigzagging kind of line. So I'm just going to pick a spot and I'm just going to go for a zigzag. Oh no, this pen is not working as well as I wanted you to. Are you running out? Are you running out? Or are you just dried up? Oh dear. It's an old pen. It's dried up. All right, what do I got handy? What color are you? Okay. We're going to go ahead with this one for the moment until I can get another color. This is just a red pen as opposed to a hot pink, but they're going to come out looking pretty similar. Apologies. So, just going to have a little fun. And create a zigzag. And once you've got that first zigzag, easy enough, you're just going to follow it. Pen, don't you disappoint me too. This is the problem with suddenly deciding to work in my basement, is all my supplies down here have been around for a while. So some of them have gotten too old and are drying up. Well, I had you going for a second. All right. One moment. So, the good news is, my mom is an amazing person who at one point bought me a whole ton of gel pens. So, I'm not going to use my entire array of them, though, because I know that not everybody has the kind of art supplies that me, the art teacher, does. Much better. No, I say much better and then you start to die. Don't do that to me. Okay. Just need a little cleaning. So with a design like this, once you have something planned out, you just start tracing around and echoing it. And if you have a mistake, if you make it a little too close or too far away, that's not a big deal. Because once you get the whole thing together, no one's going to notice a little whoops wave that you might have created. And when you get to the edge of the circle, you just let it go right to the edge and stop. So when you get to these smaller shapes like this, you can even just finish it off. And then we'll go from the bottom. So now if you wanted to do this all in like black pen, and then eventually go back and color them, this is a great way that you can create your own fun coloring sheets. And if you have like younger brothers and sisters, this could be a great thing that you can create for them to work on. So if they're a little frustrated and bored and they don't have enough to do, you can really easily create these cool coloring pages for them and help give them something to be occupied with. Or you can just do it for yourself. That's an option too. Ta-da! It's beautiful. All right. Let's do another one. Let's do a smaller one for a moment. Let's sneak a small one in. So I'm going to line up so it's just barely peeking out from the inside of my little circle guy here. There we go. Little circle. And we'll stay with our black pen this time. All right, I'm going to show you a trick of something that I tend to do a ton of, especially when I'm in like a meeting or something. Let's even see if we can zoom in a bit better. Okay. Come on, computer, keep up with me. So I'm going to start off at the edge, and what I'm going to do is a little spiral curl. Just like that. Okay? Then I'm going to go and I'm going to do a spiral curl in the other direction. So I'm going to start in the same spot and curl it around. And then I'm going to follow, and then curl off of that. And then I'm going to do that again. Follow, and another curl. Okay? Then I'm going to go to this curl, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start to follow it, and then I'm going to branch away. And I'm going to start to follow, and then I'm going to branch away. And we'll do that with this one. And this one we don't have too much room, so we're just going to get a tiny curl in there. So you can go one at a time. Maybe you'll only get one extra curl. Maybe you'll be able to get 2 or 3, depending on how large you go. You can do a larger one. You can do a small one. It all depends on the look you want to get. If you want them all about the same size, that can look really cool. But then you can also just do ones that are all different. Now you see I skipped this one, and that's okay. It kind of creates this cool, almost like a tree. And I just like the look of that spiral. And I will do this in meetings and whatnot, as you would, if you guys ever walk by the library when the staff is having a meeting. Most of the time you will see me doing little drawings like this. Helps me to focus. There. Look how quickly that one filled up. All right, let's back up a little bit again. And let's create another big circle. So this one's going to go on the side here. Kind of peeking around from our yarn ball. It's kind of like a yarn ball, isn't it? All right, I'm going to show you kind of a nifty little trick that I like to do. Let me see if I have something round enough to work with this. That'll do. All right, so I've got my slightly bigger circle. I'm going to take, this is a little top from one of my dry erase, and I'm going to use this to create some other circles. Now my goal is to try and get the circle to stay inside of our first circle. So as close to the edge as I can get. without crossing over. Except for maybe a little bit on the pink side. And then we're going to do that again. Trying to get real close. It's overlapping a little bit. I'm going to try to make sure I space that out a little bit better. To actually go right in between the two. Yeah. Now, since this is going behind a circle, it's okay to overlap a bit on that. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to fill in this space with other smaller circles, all about the same size. Now this pen top's probably not the best tool to use because it's hard to see around. It's a little unwieldy, but it works. You guys might want to use something like, depending on how big your circle is, a penny or even a dime would be a really good one. Coins would be really good for this one. So if you got a really big circle, you could use a quarter. If it's not that big, if it's like a cup size, a penny or a dime would work better. So now I'm trying to get in between these. But again, I want to make sure they don't overlap each other. If you have a circle maker at home, like a compass, this would be a good one to pull that out for. And again, we're running into another circle, so I'm going to let that go behind it. Working, working, working. Okay. So now while you're doing this, again, the goal is to fit as many circles as you can right here. But if you get to the point where you're not able to sneak a circle in, that's okay. Now, as you're doing this project, if you want to repeat a design, if you really like the way something looks and you want to include it somewhere else, feel free to. Absolutely. You can repeat designs. Just try not to repeat them when they're right next to each other. That will be a little bit harder than to tell, whoops, one circle apart from the other. This is going to be a close fit right here. We're going to wing it. We're going to wing it, guys. I want to make sure that I get one more good circle right here. There we go. All right. That's about as much as I'm going to get with my big one. So, next step is I'm going to go into these other spaces now. And if you have something that can create circles, this would be a great time to use it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in these spaces with slightly smaller circles. So trying to make big enough to fill a space. Yeah. And what you're going to end up doing is as you start to fill in these spaces, your circles are going to have to start to get smaller and smaller until they're super tiny. So you want to try and get larger ones as much as you can, and then you can sneak in and fill in the other spaces. If you don't want to have to get too tiny, what you can then do is the spaces that you can't get a circle in, color it in, shade it in. It's like I can't fit a circle in there. Just color it in then. You can also do that if you try to put a circle in, especially one of the smaller ones, and it kind of messes up a little bit. Or if you mess up a bigger one, turn it into smaller ones. So like if I kind of do a shape and I'm like, ooh, that is not a circle. That's like some kind of weird jelly bean. I'm going to turn that into a circle. I'm going to turn that into a circle. And fill in some more circles around it. And just color in the rest. Ta-da! No big deal. Now this is something you could actually do as its own separate design, this idea of the circles. You could use like a bowl to make a big circle. That could be for a different art project though. Because then what you could do is a similar idea to this, where you've got all the different designs, but you could put all those different designs inside of these. Don't do it for this project though, because that's just gonna, that would drive you crazy. That would be a ton of designs and details to try to think of. So unless you want that as some kind of a super challenge, you can just leave your circles as is, or just color them in a solid color. That would be nice too. I like this design style, especially if I'm doing something that's supposed to look kind of older. And I'll use it on like, if I'm drawing like weaponry or something. If I'm trying to draw like a really decorative sword or dagger, I'll use this technique like on the handle part. Color them so they look like gemstones. Here, why don't you come a little closer, guys, so you can see this a little bit better. This is kind of a nice project to do because you can create a cool little design, you have a little fun with it, and then by the time you're sick of it, you're moving on to a new circle and a new design. So it lets you experiment with some different ideas. This one's got a bunch of tiny spaces. Now you might notice with this, pen doesn't always dry as fast as you want it to. So if you're moving from one area of the circle to another, you might notice some smudging and smearing happening. Please don't stress about it. That is something that happens. So it is possible to be like really super careful and not have that happen, which is why I'd recommend if after you do something on one side of your area, put it on another one, just to help out with making sure you don't mess up your blending. Who's that? Pokeliz? Is that how you say it? Hi, Pokeliz. Welcome to my little art stream. We're making lots of circles, apparently. That's our thing today. It's looking nice there. This section came out good. Tiny circles. Now, if I were using a micron pen, oh lordy, you guys would see so many tiny little detailed circles. Micron pens are awesome for this. That's what I used on the one I showed you earlier. I'm purposefully not using micron pen though, because I know not everybody has them. But if you want a really great drawing pen, micron pens are the best. There we go. Ta-da! All right, let's go and do another circle. Let's do another tiny one. Let's flip it around. Ooh. Onto this side. We're going to sneak a little tiny one in right here. Just part of one. Look what I did. I messed up. Life is over. Is not. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this into a swirly planet. You guys know like planet Jupiter has all those clouds and stuff. We're going to go and make some swervy lines. And then we're going to make some swervy lines. And then another swirly line. Nothing perfect about this, just adding some curves because they look cool. And then we're going to sneak in and do like a line that doesn't go all the way across, just to fill in some of these bigger spaces. Just like that. Look at that. I turned that massive oops into a little planet. Beautiful. See? No need to panic, you guys. We can make it work. We can make it work. We're gonna need another color. Let's do another pink planet. I'm gonna start calling them planets now. I am apparently obsessed with this idea of planets, you guys. Let's put one up here. Let's get crazy. Let's leave a space. We're going to leave a little space. We're not going to overlap this one. This one is going to stand out all on its own. All the way around, all the way around, all the way around, all the way around. Good. All right. Let me show you another cool little trick you can do with our pink. I'm going to show you, let's see. Here's what we're going to do. I want you to pick a spot, and you're going to start off with kind of like a little oval shape. Scoot this down a little bit more. Start with a tiny oval, and then another one, and then another one going over it. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to pick a new spot. Somewhere like maybe right on the edge of it. And we're going to do it again. We're going to go little one, bigger one, biggest. And then we're going to pick a new spot. Little, bigger, biggest. See what I'm doing? Let's little, bigger, biggest. Little, bigger, biggest. And then we're going to just keep going. Maybe we'll have one going this way. Little, bigger goes off the page, biggest you barely see. 1, 2, 3. Next. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're just going to carry on like this. We're just going to keep going. I'm going to keep spinning my paper around and finding new spots to start in. You can even start one all by itself. Whoosh. On the other side. And then continue from there. And again, you can do this with any kind of design. You could do this with a heart design. You can do this with a triangle design. Anytime you're repeating a shape, you can create these cool designs from it. Let's start another one on this side too. So you see how easy it is to just create something that ends up looking ridiculously detailed, and when you'd see it, you'd think, oh my gosh, how did somebody draw that? But it's really just these simple little lines repeating one after the other. This is a great thing just to do when you got something else on. So if you've got the right idea on how to do this, I would encourage you to put on some music, something nice in the background, and just have some fun with it. Look at that. Awesome. Oh, I'm going to show you guys a cool one. So I'm going to create another one right off the edge here. Because by the end, what I'd like you to have is all of your circles connecting to each other somehow. So you are going to have some overlapping. You don't want to have just one off by itself. But if you have a little bit of a space between them, that can be okay too. So for this one, we're going to get a little bit tricky, okay? Come close so you can see it. All right? You're going to start off by splitting it roughly in half. It doesn't have to be perfect, don't worry if it isn't, but you're going to do a roughly in half one way and then the other way. Okay? Now what you're going to do is you're going to create on each side some curving lines. So when you're going to the left of your center line, you want to curve kind of towards the middle. So leave a little bit of space. You want to not start it right at the bottom. You want to start over a little bit. And you're going to create a bit of a curve. And then a bit more of a curve. And then a final curve. Okay? When you go on the other side, you're going to curve it the other way. Curving it around the middle. It should start to give you almost like a ball shape. Now I'm going to spin my paper, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I've got the center line, and I'm going to do 1, 2, and just barely see 3. And 1, and 2, and 3. So that already gives us a pretty cool looking 3D shape, but now we're going to add to that. Okay, so what I want you to do is you're going to pick a spot to start and pick a square. You could have the option at this point if you want to just color it in like a checkerboard. So you color one, then color the other. You can do that, but what I'm going to show you I think is kind of comes out a little bit neater. So you're going to pick one of your squares to start in, and I want you to just do really simple couple of stripes. So whatever you have room for. So I'm going to do 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now I'm going to do like a checkerboard. Go on a diagonal. 1, 2, 3. Diagonal again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 is all I can fit in there. Now I'm going to go work my way down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now I'm going to keep doing same thing, checkerboard. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you see how I'm leaving some of them alone. Some of them you might not fit all your lines in. Some of them you might just get 1 or 2 showing. That is fine. As long as you are going in the same direction every time, it's fine. Okay, one more. So once you've filled in your checkerboard, I'm going to turn my paper the other way. Now I'm going to go into the ones that I left blank, and I'm going to do the same thing, only now I'm going in a different direction. So this one's now going this way. I have enough room in there for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So by drawing your first lines in a curve, it helps the whole thing have almost like a ball shape. And by adding in these crisscrossing lines, it almost makes it look like it's like woven. Like things are just kind of like whoosh, weaving together. And it just creates a really cool little design. That's nice. All right, that's all the time we have for today. It's already after 11. Holy cow. So I'm going to continue working on this tomorrow. I want to definitely fill up my paper pretty well. So when you guys want to take a break as well, we've been doing this for a bit, stretch your fingers out. But so far, you have a pretty cool little thing going here. So I'm going to keep my pens handy, ready to go for next time. Let me actually swing you back around here so we can say bye. Whoosh. I'm going to have to check my actual camera, make sure that I got everything in there. That'll do. All right. My computer is a few seconds behind, so if I start to adjust again, I apologize. It's hard to see everything going on with the way that I have my camera going. In any case, hope you guys have a great week. I will see you here again tomorrow. We're going to work a little bit more on this. And by the end of the week, we'll start something fun and fresh too. So we're going to keep going with this. So keep in mind, you do not have to turn this in until Friday. Please take your time. I don't want you to feel stressed that you have to get all this done in a day or even in an hour. I want you to just do the best job that you can and get it to me when you can. So if you're still turning in other late work, that's fine. I'm still accepting it. Make sure you're checking MyStar. And just as a note, if you email me your assignment, which is fine, it might still show up on Classroom as being missing because I don't have a way of going in and checking off saying that you turned it in a different way. Classroom expects you to turn it in their way. So if you email it to me, please just go to the assignment on Classroom and make a little note to me to say I turned it in on email. That will remind me to go make sure I have it, number one. But then I can also put the grade in on Classroom and check off that you did it so that Classroom was not saying that you have missing assignments. So the one that's really counting is going to be the one on MyStar. I keep track of it on Classroom too, so you guys know that I have seen it and I have given you some feedback. Okay, but your ultimate grade score is going to be on MyStar. So if something happens where you have turned it in on Classroom, but MyStar says it's missing, just go back to the Classroom one, add a little note, say, Michonne, can you make sure to check this? And I will. Keep in mind, I don't set a time on Fridays when things are due. So if you're turning in your assignments like after 4 o'clock on a Friday, I probably won't see it. It's Friday night, you guys. I want to take a little break as well. It would have been a long week, and Friday night is my anime night, so I've got cartoons to watch too. But I will get to it, and there's no penalty for it being late. So if Friday rolls around and you don't turn in your assignment till 8 o'clock at night, just keep in mind, I will get to it. I will find it. I will check it. So I'm actually, after this is done, going back to find all of those projects that were turned in a little bit later and make sure I get all caught up. I always catch up with my stuff, you guys. Don't freak out about it. Just if you're concerned, send me a little note and we'll take care of it. Okay? So stay safe. Wash your hands. I know a lot of people are getting back to work. You probably got some parents heading back to work as well. Remind them to stay safe as well. I hope everybody has masks by this point. If not, there are tons of YouTube tutorials on how to make a mask. Please, even just wrapping a scarf around your face, something to protect yourselves. We have to stay safe. We're not out of the woods yet, okay? So have a great week. I will see you tomorrow, same time. Bye-bye.